Luke, what's the situation where you are?
Yeah, we're at the Pont de l'Alma, which is where the statue of the Zouave soldier is located. That's used as the gauge, a yardstick by many Parisians as the depth of the water. Generally speaking, the rule of thumb is that when it reaches the statue's feet, that's when the floodwaters are getting high. It's already well at its waist, so clearly we are seeing a pretty serious flood situation. It is far off, though, the worst on record. That's in 1910, when the floodwaters reached well over the shoulders of the statue. The latest official figures we've got is that the floodwaters have reached about 5.6 metres here in Paris. We're expecting them to reach around about 6 metres, though we are seeing some forecasts pushing that the highest water, the deepest waters, will reach 6.2 metres later this Friday. That would push it further than the 1982 record of about 8.13 metres. As such, that would be the worst flooding in about 30 years. As such, that's why the authorities have pushed the alert level, the flood alert level here in Paris, from yellow to orange. That is one short of the top alert, but clearly they are seeing the impact there of the floodwaters here. That's, of course, part of the reason why they've closed the museums, the iconic museums of the Louvre and the Musée d'Orsay, to protect the vulnerable works of art that are kept underground there. It's also why they've closed off the suburban train lines and the roads that run along the banks of the Seine. As such, the disruption does continue for Parisians, although for the moment any isolated flooding is all that we're really getting. It is basically a relatively calm situation for the Seine at the moment, although it does still keep rising.
And indeed, Luke, it is relatively calm. However, we're seeing some really impressive images, if we can say that, then from the French capital. But elsewhere, things have even turned deadly. What's the state of the situation outside of the capital?
Well, some of the worst affected areas so far do appear to be seeing an improving situation. For example, in the town of Namur, where we spent much of Thursday, that was probably the worst affected town. Over 2,000 people had been evacuated there. The floodwaters clearly receding there this Friday. They're not likely to see a full improvement to the situation until Monday at the earliest. That's when people will be able to really see to what extent their valuables, their property has been damaged, with the centre of the town there flooded. On a broader look at the department where that town is located, the Seine-et-Marne, that was where they were on red alert. That has now been reduced to an orange alert. That means there are no areas of France that are currently under red alert, giving you an idea of to what extent the improvement has continued. Despite that improvement, though, we do have a second fatality to report, that a 74-year-old man carried away by the water on Thursday. So 2 fatalities so far, but an improving situation as a whole, despite some forecasts for some lighter rain through Friday and the weekend.